Sea level rise is a growing problem across the globe, and the Gulf Coast is no exception. In fact, sea level rise has been faster along the Gulf Coast than anywhere else in the world, according to a new study from Tulane University. Our meteorologist Daniel Phillips has a story.
We were interested in how sea levels have been changing along the U.S. East and Gulf coasts since 1900s.
You kind of have to understand the longer context to better understand what's happening today and what may happen in the future.
Here it has particularly high impacts because so many people are living along the coastline.
Louisiana has, some of the largest coastal wetland areas in the world, and we know that they're very vulnerable to accelerated sea level rise.
At the moment, the rates here in the Gulf are among the highest worldwide.
The amount of sea level rise that we're seeing right now is really spectacular and a bit nerve-wracking.
For a little over 10 years, the Gulf of Mexico has experienced some of the highest rates of sea level rise in the world. That's according to a research paper that was released this spring by Tulane researchers Sönke Dongadorf and Torbjörn Tornqvist.
We evaluated tide gauges from Canada into the Gulf of Mexico, and we found that region from Cape Hatteras down into the Gulf of Mexico, where we had that very high acceleration, leading to rates in excess of 10 millimeters per year since about 2010.
Sönke says that kind of rate is 5 times the amount that other tide gauges in the region have shown on average for the entire 20th century, and almost 3 times the global average.
The numbers were really high, so we haven't seen comparable rates very often before.
There's a variety of factors that need to be taken into account when talking about sea level rise, but this paper suggests that these rapid rates could be the result of a natural cycle.
We found out that it's not like subsidence causing that issue since 2010. We found out it's not ice melt that is primarily contributing to it in this region. So we quickly found out that it's ocean warming and changes in ocean circulation.
Those changes in ocean circulation are driven by winds in the tropical Atlantic, pushing warmer water masses into the Gulf of Mexico, which is leading to a rapid rise. And while changes in the circulation occur naturally, it's the rate of the rising sea level that makes the last 10 years different.
The reason that this high is higher than what we've seen before is because of the climate signal.
And while Torbjörn and Sönke believe that these rates will eventually slow, sea level rise will certainly remain an issue.
And we have seen these impacts over the last 10-15 years. For instance, over that same period here in the Gulf of Mexico, high tide flooding, the frequency has almost doubled or more than doubled on average.
Higher seas brings the potential for higher storm surge and more destructive hurricanes, not to mention the damage done to our already fragile coastline.
Louisiana has, some of the largest coastal wetland areas in the world, and we know that they're very vulnerable to accelerated sea level rise. That has put an immense amount of stress on these wetlands during this same time period.
Torbjörn and Sönke believe that the last 10 years could actually provide a snapshot at the challenges that we may face in the future.
So it's already affecting our daily lives. So it's a very urgent issue, and it will not get less in the next couple of years.
And that without action, the rates of the last 10 years could be normal by the end of the century.
If this becomes the new normal and these rates are that's going to be it for a very long time to come, well, then it's going to be a very tough story.
In New Orleans, I'm Daniel Phillips, KTC TV3.